Hey everyone, and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Caitlin, and I'm Be Fat, Be Happy. Today, we are making a dinner time staple. Let's learn how to make a great steak. So first things first, we preheated our oven to 450, and now we're going to season our steak. It's always best when handling our meat to use some gloves. I love a great ribeye. I think ribeye is amazing because it has a good amount of fat, and fat equals flavor, and it's not something on a steak that we should be afraid of. And we're just gonna lightly season with salt and pepper. We want a good amount on there, but not too much because the steak has a lot of flavor in itself. We wanna make sure our pan is nice and hot. We want a really great medium-high heat that's gonna help us really sear the crust and get that flavor from the fat and the juices in there. So because this is a pretty thick piece of steak, we wanna make sure that we're cooking most of it on the one side first. So we're gonna do 3 minutes on this side at least, and then about 2 minutes on the other side before then we put it into the oven and finish cooking it off. So In the Know users always ask, what are the best spices to put on a steak? And it really is up to you. For me, I really like using a nice paprika or chili powder, adding that little bit of extra spice and flavor. You can also add some garlic powder in there, but you really can't go wrong with a classic salt and pepper seasoning because there's so much marbling and flavor in a really great quality piece of steak. I think people say that you should only flip a steak once because you want to be able to lock in as much moisture and juices into the steak as possible. When you flip it too many times, you kind of lose some of those juices and those flavors, and you want to get that nice sear and that crust on the one side, and keeping it flat as long as possible really gets that nice brown, juicy sear. All right, we're gonna go ahead and flip our steak to the other side. Ooh, look at that sear. And to flip it, we're using our OXO Good Grip 9-inch locking tongs. So our steak is almost done searing, and what we're going to do afterwards is we're gonna put it in the oven at 450 for about 8 to 10 minutes to get the steak nice and juicy and let it finish cooking so that we don't overcook it in this high heat of the pan. And quickly, before we put this in the oven, I'm just going to get it a little bit on this one last side, get that nice sear on these edges. Okay, she's ready for the oven. While our steak is in the oven, we're going to be making a super easy blue cheese compound butter. A compound butter is basically just a softened stick of butter with different ingredients of your choice to really amp up the flavors of your steak. All right, so first things first, we're gonna take our 1 stick of softened butter, and then we're gonna add in our blue cheese, some garlic, a little bit of lemon juice, and then we're going to chop up a little bit of rosemary and a little bit of parsley. Oh, that's so fragrant, it smells amazing. A little bit of salt, a dash of pepper, and this is really just all a compound butter is. You're taking a soft stick of butter, some various ingredients that you think would go well with your steak, and just mixing it all in. Oh, yes. Oh my goodness, look at this sizzling bad boy. After your steak is done cooking, it's super important to check the temperature because we don't want an undercooked or an overcooked steak. So we have our Saforel thermometer, which we stick right in the center to make sure that we're at a good 140 to 145 for a nice medium rare steak. And before we dig in, I know it looks delicious and I'm salivating and so tempted to eat, but we want to let our meat rest. This is super important because it keeps all of the flavors and juices in there before cutting it. If you cut the meat when it's too hot, you lose all of those juices and then your meat will dry out, and we don't want that. We have our beautiful blue cheese compound butter. We slice our butter and put it right on top of our steak, let that melt, and we're ready to eat. I'm about to dig into this, but I hope you get to make this at home and that you see that it's not hard to make a steak. Go have fun, make your compound butter, and make your own steak at home.